Alrighty, hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and you are here at home with me, or at least my current home in Homestead, which will be moving in a few weeks. I know some of you wanted to see the new studio, but I'm back in Homestead. I've traveled back and forth like 7 times in the past 2 weeks, so staying pretty busy. You're going to hear some noises from my water pump and things like that, and I apologize about that, but I want to do a Q&A, kind of just catch up with people wherever you might be, what's going on. Let's talk about the studio. The studio, you've seen the videos going up. Right now, we're at a little bit of a standstill. There goes the water pump. We're at a little bit of a standstill because we're waiting for carpet to be installed, and the people installing the carpet said Wednesday or Thursday. That was definitely a straight-up lie. Because today is Thursday and that carpet ain't getting installed. So hopefully by tomorrow. But we can't build the studios till we have the carpet. So there is that. And building the studios is not a quick thing, right? We moved everything in, and that's pretty fast if you think about it. But then setting up the studios, organizing everything, we're still looking at a week and a half to 2 weeks of straight work putting that together. We're going to try to do videos and stuff in between, but hopefully by mid-May we'll be up and running for sure. And in between, everybody is moving, so keep that in mind. So let's see where we're at. How are the personal moves going? They're fine. I mean, I'm moving first week of May. Everyone's moving at different times. So, the personal moves are as good as personal moves go. They're not great, but we are doing what we can. Am I busy selling 2 houses? I am doing my best. I do not like how this looks. Give me a second. There we go. I'm doing my best, but, we haven't cleared out of this house yet. The studio is actually, there's some people in the studio right now, the old studio, painting it and such so that I can put it up on the market. So we'll see. Probably could have picked a better time to sell houses, but it is what it is. Yeah, there is no pizza in the fridge. I made sure it got thrown out personally. Have I had any time to enjoy some of the new Civilization? You're talking about Civ 7? I have not gone back to it yet. I'm struggling going back to it because there's some interesting things in it. I just don't know that I care. I started playing Civ 6 on my iPad, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll wait for another update or something so they add some of the other stuff. Dad Side Hobby asked me to rank all these games in bang for buck order. Now, I don't normally do that, actually. You can go look and see if any of these are in my top 100, and those are ranked. Other than that, I don't rank them because everyone's going to be different, and everything's different, and how you rank things, I just don't normally do that. Just get the one that you think is most interesting. How do I organize Star Wars Unlimited? And this is getting a little annoying here. Let me see if I can fix this. I can fix that. Great. I organize Star Wars Unlimited I just build decks, and then I have them in a deck box. The deck box is actually at the new studio because I now have room to have a shelf of games that we keep at the studio that we won't take to conventions, but we can play, and all my Star Wars Unlimited is there. I don't even know how many decks I have. Maybe 20 different decks for it. My best deck? I don't know. I'm still playing through all of them. How grateful are you that your whole team was willing to move with the office? It's pretty awesome how they are also dedicated. No, I agree, but I think in some ways we're kind of looking at this a little backwards because I wouldn't have moved unless everybody was kind of in on it. I brought it up in a meeting to see if people would be interested in this movie because I have a really good situation where I'm at. I'm right around the corner from the studio. So for me, moving wasn't as high of a priority, but the staff was very interested in moving. Are you still homeschooling your kids? Yes. Do you use board games as part of your teaching and curriculum? No. But I mean, I just play board games with them as a matter of course. Do you have what game will be the first scheduled review in the new studio? No. Any thoughts on crowdfunding fears after Final Frontier downfall and the blame they cast on CMON? Well, if you read through the thing that they said, the CMON invoice, which was not paid by CMON or whatever, CMON agreed to localize their game in the country, and they did not. And that was a very small amount of money compared to the millions that Final Frontier had brought in from their Kickstarter projects, or million plus that they brought in. So they said it was the domino, but the fact of the matter is they were doing very poorly financially by their own accounts, right? So everyone is jumping all over CMON for this. They should not be. Final Frontier. Eric Martin did a good a post up of this on Board Game Geek. They would have fallen apart anyway. Something else would have pushed them over. So on crowdfunding fears, I mean, it's always going to be the case. Every Kickstarter game found the project that you back is always a risk. It's always a risk. Yes, I always say that, Kickstarter is basically a store, because it really is. But it is a store with some risk. You may or may not get your stuff, and you just have to be. I don't think you should ever back anything unless you can do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm annoyed when my stuff, Mythic took my pledges that I pledged and that stuff. You might say to me, hey, it's easier for you. You didn't back Final Frontier, because I have not backed I don't think I backed their newest stuff, right? But when you back something, you get pretty annoyed at it. I don't think it was cool for them to point the finger at CMON at all, actually. But at the same time, these things are hard. Business. We're going to see more and more publishers probably go out of business as time goes by. It's hard to run a business, and some are just going to go out. What has been the best thing you've eaten in Fort Myers? I don't know. I've had a lot of good things there. There's some good pizza right around the corner from the studio that I really like. While moving, did you find anything interesting in the old studio that you had forgotten about? Lots of things, actually. My friend Manny, I forgot about Manny the mannequin, but he's going up in the yard sale this coming Saturday. Oh, that's the next question. Did you guys actually sell Manny? No, but I will. Is the library insured? Yes, it is. I just saw about Greater Than Games closing. Yes, that's another unfortunate casualty. We're going to see a lot of publishers probably. And it's not something that I think we should cheer for or be happy about at all. It's unfortunate. But, there's going to be more publishers probably that go out of business. We've now seen Greater Than Games. Although I'm not 100% sure how the Greater Than Games thing. I know that basically Flat River Group owned Greater Than Games, and they've let them go. So whether they'll reform and start an own studio, join back up with Dice Hate Me, which they were originally, who knows? There's all kinds of options. I have no idea what they would do. How do kids age 8 to 10 do at Dice Tower cons? If we stick to age-appropriate games, it'll be easy to find others to play with, or will many gamers that only want to play with adults? Most gamers, you should assume when you go to a con that most gamers don't want to play with kids. I think that's a fair assumption, and you might get mad at people for that, but even for me, and I like kids a lot, playing with kids is a different kind of playing a game. Yes, I know your kids are amazing and they're better than everyone else's kids, but they're not. And so when you play a game with a kid, you're never quite sure. Can I attack this kid? Can I talk trash in this game? Will they get upset if their parents playing and I stab this kid? So I won't do that, but then I have less fun. Is the kid actually going to understand the game? So I have found from personal experience, most people don't want to play games with kids. Now, if you find other people with kids, or maybe you will find some people who have no problem playing kids, it's possible. But you should assume that many gamers only want to play with adults. When my kids go and play there, I'm in the game with them, or my wife is in the game with them. I have an 11-year-old. That's it. And last Dice Tower East, when we went, he just played with other kids for the most part. And also like Dexterity. We played some Dexterity games together. Did I get any of the new HeroScape packs? Yes, I meant to review them before we closed down the old studio, and it did not happen. But they will be one of the first things that I'll review soon. I have them all. Have I ever considered attending the Tokyo Game Market? I have been invited to attend the Tokyo Game Market, but I can only go to so many conventions. And give me 1 second here. But I got good news for you. Give me a little bit more here. Okay, so I am going to Rolla Game Expo. That is in Guadalajara, and that is next week. On Tuesday, I'll be flying out. I guess I'll spend a couple days before the con, but it's the following weekend that I'll be there, and I'm going to be walking around. I'm going to be doing a few presentations there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're in Guadalajara next week, I'll see you there. As for the Tokyo Game Market, that's later on this month. Well, I mean, later on in May, Mike Delisio is going to be going to the Tokyo Game Market, so you'll have a chance to see him there. And then Z and Camilla will be in Paris for the Ticket to Ride World Championships, I believe. I am thinking of hosting a murder mystery party. What are the best ones? I don't know anything about that. I apologize. With the news yesterday that Final Frontier Games is closed and today Greater Than Games, do you fear a large number of publishers will fail in the next 6 months? It's possible. I do want to point out, and this is important to note, that Final Frontier's games had nothing to do with the tariffs. I'm not saying tariffs are not going to, they're going to wreak havoc in the industry. But Final Frontiers is not because of that. Greater Than Games might be because of that. I'm not 100% sure. But yes, I do fear that many publishers are going to fail at this point in time. I hope that they don't, but who knows? I do not want to be a fearmonger. We're going to go out there and be as positive as we can in this very uncertain board game industry right now. I picked a good time to move, apparently. How do I like the city of Fort Myers? Fine for eating purposes, and I haven't done much else there. They have a great flea market that I went to, but honestly, I have not done much else in Fort Myers. I'm just so concentrating on the move. There's just so much work. I'm going to take a day and a half or so off here. My kids have come home from college, so I'm going to spend some time with them. My daughter's out right now shopping for a wedding dress, so I should mention a Dice Tower Patreon. If you want to support Dice Tower, because between moving and a wedding, I'm a poor man. Does Fort Myers have better food? Yes. Is that a good or bad thing? Good, because sometimes having that one pizza place or taco truck too close is dangerous. Sure. Are any of the team not moving? The team that you see on camera, all of them are moving. As for others and stuff, we'll see as time goes by. Once we're moved, we'll kind of give an update of where we're at. Will I do a release party of sorts when a new studio is filing up? We'll see. We'll try to get things going. Have you talked to the studio neighbors in Homestead about the move? Are they going to miss the van? I don't know, maybe. Any updates on the search for the rules teacher position that you mentioned a bit ago? Yes. In fact, I'm going to double check on some more stuff here. Today, 18. So yes, we have a new How to Play person, Salome, and he'll be posting, I think, hopefully, as long as everything goes well, right? We're trying stuff. His first How to Play tomorrow, so you'll start seeing stuff from him. No kids, but dogs are okay, my general. A dog will forgive any backstabbing with some treats and scratches. Yeah, but dogs are a pain in the neck in other ways, so let's not pretend. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed Ready, Set, Bet. Played original Ticket to Ride last night with the family. Has there ever been a game board release as recessed train car spaces? I don't think so. That'd be kind of cool. Although, I don't know if I'd want it, because sometimes I get deluxe or upgraded trains, and then they might not fit in those spaces. Did you see the new Days of Wonder Star Wars game Battle of Hoth? Yes, I've already played it actually. Um, I am not sure. I need to email Days of Wonder to see what I'm allowed to say. I took some short videos of me playing. I've known about this for a while. I've been dying to tell you all because I knew people were going to go crazy. I was very excited when I first heard about it. I don't normally play games before they're published, and they said, "Would you like to play this?" And I said yes very quickly and ran. But yeah, so I will do a video with my thoughts on the game once I get info from Days of Wonder what I'm allowed to say. That's all. Mike Delicio says, yes, I'm excited to go to Tokyo Game Market, so you'll see him there. That's a Sharp Dice Tower polo shirt you got there. Yeah, it's Dice Tower Cruise, actually. Can we get one out to the store? You'll have to talk to Brian Drake about that. Is Joey moving to Homestead? Probably not. Do you think a combination of tariffs and publishers in trouble for other reasons will mean fewer big crowdfunding games with lots of minis, etc., and not impact downstream like content creators? I don't know about how the impact on content creators. So I thought about that, right? So let's talk about the content creators first, because that's very near and dear to my heart, obviously. I think some publishers are going to need reviews and previews more than ever because they want their games to stand out in a crowd, therefore content creators. But I also fear that many publishers, the very first thing they will cut will be their advertising budget, which I think is never a really great thing to cut first, because unless you have a game that just becomes popular by word of mouth, it's going to be hard to get out there. Now, will games get smaller? I suspect they will. Will we see these mega gigantic games? I don't think so as much. And I'm not sure that's a bad thing. I mean, games don't have to be mega. We have a lot of mega great games out there. If you want these mega games, they exist. But let's get some normal-sized games for a while. I've been kind of beating that drum for a while now anyway. As of today, what do you think about the impact of tariffs on board games? Well, that's like a whole video in of itself. And I've seen some people like, Tom needs to make a statement on tariffs on board games. Well, the tariffs personally have affected me. Well, ignore stock portfolio. But I buy the stuff for the Dice Tower Kickstarter from China, our playmats, our bags, dice, cards, things like that. You know, our bands, those bands that we have, and the plastic containers come from China. And so me having to pay 150% more does not make me happy. I do not like that on a very personal level. I find it to be very annoying. For game publishers, it's a whole different ballgame. I'm not going to pretend to be super smart at economics and know all this. I'm listening and reading what the publishers are saying. And I really think that's who we should listen to, is the publishers. Because publishers are giving their side and their thoughts on it. And I think that's the best thing to do. Some of them will not weather the storm, and that's a very unfortunate thing. Some will, and there's going to be changes, and then maybe everything will go back to normal. Who knows? It's kind of a day-to-day thing right now. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, although with any bad thing, I think there's always silver linings to things. This one's kind of hard to see a silver lining right now. And a lot of the people in the industry are my friends, and I feel for them during this time. It's a very tough time that kind of came out of nowhere, especially as we're gearing up to go into the big season of games, you know, with the Gen Con and Origins around the corner. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to keep harping on tariffs all the time and talk about them. Like I said, they're negatively affecting me. They're negatively affecting my friends. They're negatively affecting much of the board game industry. And I don't like any of that. But at the same time, we want our channel to be a positive place that you can come to. And so we're going to keep talking about games. And most of the games we're talking about, as we do, are ones that you can find and see and get now. Am I already in my home? No, this is my old home. Our moving date is first week of May, hopefully. Does the new commercial space have many neighbors? Well, we're near the river in Fort Myers, and we have a couple direct neighbors who are in the same building as us. Well, one direct neighbor, we have another empty space where someone will move into that one. We are going to... I mean, there's like a house that's pretty close, and there's some other things, but it seems to be a quiet neighborhood. But I like the neighborhood because when I look out the windows, which the windows are done, by the way, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a video, which is a terrible way to do it, but this is just the best you're going to get for now. But the front of the building. Oh, yeah, hang on. Do that. There we go. So there you go. This is what the front of our building looks like right now, which I'm very pleased about. All right, so that's cool. And so our neighbors know that we're there. In fact, they just put up, silly as it sounds, on parking spots now it says reserved Dice Tower. I don't hate that. Have you visited any local churches? Yes, we went to one church that we enjoyed. We'll see if we will go there or not. We still have a month or so before we move there. Are the hats insured? The hats are just part of the contents of the Dice Tower. Thanks for the answer about kids at cons. If we go, sticking to co-op games may be best. If we do try to play with other adults, typically, will there be more than a handful of kids at cons? It depends what con you go to. Some cons have way more kids than others. Dice Tower East, I would say there's about 50 kids there total. Not a ton, but that seems to be right. You have to realize, though, there may be more kids there than I know about. A lot of these kids tend to go to Disney, Universal, especially with the new Universal Park opening up, a SeaWorld, and the gazillion of other things to do in Orlando. Is Manny really not coming with you Fort Myers? I have to make cuts in space and stuff, and so no. We don't really use him anymore. He's kind of a relic of the past. I suppose there could be a Save Manny campaign, but I'm selling him Saturday, which is a day and a half from now. Favorite Western film? I don't know what my favorite Western film is. I tend to like Western movies. Maybe Tombstone. I really like Tombstone. What are the countries Dice Tower is visiting this year? Well, Mexico, France, Japan, Germany. That might be it. It's really hard for me. People keep asking about the future, and it's really hard for me to look past the first week of May because of this moving and stuff. It's taken up so much of my brain space. Is the place you're moving in have a possibility of expansion in case you will grow out of it as well? My goal is to not grow out of it, if that makes sense. I'm very happy with the space as is, and I would like to utilize that space to the best of my ability for a while. Is the Battle of Hoth a spin-off of sorts from Memoir 44? Yes, they've announced that. You can go see, I think, on Board Game Geek Day show stuff. You can play any game with any group of people. Which game and with who? I would just pick my friends or family and play a new game that's come out. That's what I do now. How far did you make it in Primal? I'm not playing the campaign in Primal. When I play Primal, I just pick a single shot, and I say, we'll play level 1, 2, 3. We'll play this bad guy. Well, I'll use this character and these cards. I have way more fun doing it that way. With this move, is Dice Tower Con moving as well? No, Dice Tower Con, Dice Tower East is still in Orlando. Dice Tower West is still in Vegas. And Dice Tower Cruise is still going to be in Miami. We can still get their games to each of those places. It does mean, though, that the big game bash that Joey runs once a quarter or so will definitely be there, and it'll be a lot easier for me to bring games to that. Given the changing board game industry and growing constraints, what new or creative trends might emerge over the next 5 years? Smaller games, more print and play materials, more apps, or something else? I don't know about apps or print and play, maybe. But definitely, I think we'll see games get a little smaller over the next couple years. Although you have to realize that when games are designed and put together, they are done way ahead of time. The problem that people are running into now with this producing games in China with the tariffs are the games are done or are about to be done. The contracts have been signed. So now all these games are just going to sit there until because people are going to delay them because they don't want them to be sent here because they don't want to pay the tariffs on them. So that's the problem. Changes will happen in the board game industry, but they will not be instantaneous. Aside from the Dice Tower, which publisher has the best logo? That's a really I find it interesting you ask that because I was just yesterday looking at a logo. What logo was it? It was NBA. I don't know why I was looking at the NBA logo because I was at a place and I saw the NBA on TV and I don't really watch NBA. And I thought this is an interesting logo and I thought about logos and I thought, who has the best logos? But I haven't really put much effort into looking that up and stuff. That might be a fun thing to do sometime, to look at a bunch of publisher logos and say which ones are our favorites. Do we know when the Dice Tower GameFound Pledge Manager opens? I keep feeling like I miss it. No, you can go pledge in the Dice Tower GameFound. It's open right now. Just go to DicetowerKickstarter.com. Well, you can do that. Support Dicetower.com. Bitewing was saying crowdfunding will be even more essential because it is direct to consumer rather than brick and mortar online retailers. Possibly. Again, these guys are smarter than me in that subject, so I would defer to them. Will I be at Essen Spiel 2025? Our plan is right now. Of course, the world changes, things change, but yes, that is our current plan. The move to the new office was so a larger studio could be built to house a longer Maple racetrack. That could actually happen. That would be pretty funny. In my country, we call someone with many talents a person who wears many hats. Well, we do here too. What type of Dice Tower video would we always see Tom Vasel doing if your time became too limited? You'd always see me doing, I would always be involved in reviews, always be involved in top 10s. Not every top 10 or every review, obviously, but I love doing them. I love doing the Q&As. Those are the 3 videos I like doing the most. Q&As, top 10s, and reviews. And I like doing the board game news. I love talking about the board game news. I love, but we do lots of different videos on the show. So I'm not planning on dropping any videos anytime soon, so... Being close to the river, do you fear flooding from storms? Not any more than anyone who lives near any river. There are rivers in every major city in the world, for the most part, because cities tend to be built around rivers. So, yeah, we're near a river. We have flood insurance. We'll take proper precautions. I just can't live my life in fear. I always find this interesting, no matter where you go. I moved to Florida. People are like, you're close to Cuba. Yeah. I lived in North Korea and South Korea, and people are like, you're close to North Korea. Yes. You live in California. There's earthquakes. Yes. Up north, there's something everywhere. Just take the proper precautions. What's the coffee situation at the new studio? Do not care. Don't drink. Coffee drinkers figure it out. We have a Keurig machine. We're not getting an espresso machine. Joey can buy it if he wants. Will Chief Sokoto be in the new neighborhood? I've actually lost contact with Chief Sokoto over the past few weeks. I hope everything is fine. I think he must be off on a secret mission. Next Q&A, someone asked me, and I'll give an update on him. If Tom from 10 years ago saw that video you just shared, what would you think would be his thoughts? His mind would be blown. We never imagined to be where we're at now. And, sometimes when we look at something and I'll be like, I don't like that. And I'm thinking, wow, I got to be careful that we're not big. People think the Dice Tower is this big organization. We're still a small, according to America, small little thing. But compared to what I always imagined a Dice Tower, it has exceeded what I had hoped for in my life. And that's fine by me. I enjoy that a lot. Are you afraid of people coming up to the door thinking it's a toy store? I don't think people are gonna. There's no welcome traffic and there's no thing that makes it look like it. Will we have someone stop by the door? It hasn't happened yet, so I don't think so. Is there room to hold a barbecue at the new place? Probably not. Watch, whoever buys Manny is going to bring him Dice Aries. I doubt it. I think someone just in the neighborhood's going to buy him. I don't know. Who knows? Tombstone, great choice. What are your thoughts on the Minecraft movie? Well, two things. I was amused by much of it. I laughed because Jack Black played Jack Black, and then the other guy, Jason Momoa, played Jack Black, and I was just amused by that. And I thought some of the jokes were funny. However, I was like, this is what it's like to go to a movie, a Marvel movie, and not know what's, all the Marvel stuff. Because at different points, the whole theater erupted, and I was like, huh? And I was sitting between Ruby and Jimmy, and they were just like, how do you not know this? Like when he said, I am Steve, and the whole crowd just went crazy. And I was like, that's just a name. Who cares? And my daughter was like, how do you not know? That's the avatar, the default avatar. I'm like, well, because I don't play Minecraft. So I was amused at that. There were just different instances in the movie where everyone just went berserk. And I was like, oh, cool. And I enjoyed that, though. That's the first movie I've been to in a long time. But my son was like, I really, 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 and he used the word really like 30 times, want to go to this movie. And I was like, well, that's a lot of reallys. So we don't go to movies very often because they're expensive, but I figured they would like that one, so we went to see that one. Other than that, upcoming movies, I'm very excited about Fantastic Four. The new trailer that dropped today looks really cool. And Thunderbolts I'm hoping for. Other than that, I don't know. For the most part, I just wait till it comes out on streaming. Do I still play Sentinels of the Multiverse in the app? No. I'm telling you, Freedom 5 kills Sentinels of the Multiverse for me. It's the same thing in many ways, theme-wise. It's a very, very different game, but the gameplay is much more exciting. What will you do in France? I'm not going to France. Z and Camille are going to France. They are going to be covering the Ticket to Ride championships there. Can someone make a theme park with board game themed rides and lands? Ticket to Ride, monorail, galaxy trucker ride, and so on. What kind of ride would you like to have, Tom? That sounds fun. I want a small world ride, but you're going through board game lands. I would love a standee version of Primal. I agree. A standee version of Primal would be great. I was going to ask if Joey's Board Game Bash will get the full Dice Tower library treatment. No way. That's way too much work. It's probably, I think it's 17 minutes from the studio, but to move that many games. But that being said, we definitely can fill a couple bins with games and definitely bring them very easily. Thanks for sharing household goods. I work in a relocation, move people for a living. The stress is real. Yeah, the stress is... I have not been this stressed for a really long time, and I'm trying not to let it get to me because it's not any one person's fault. It's just there's so much. We're going through things, even the stress of buying a house. Anyone who's bought a house knows that. Like, I'm in the last steps, I think, of it. The mortgage company keeps telling me they needed, 5 more documents. And I send them, I'm like, we're good now, right? They're like, how about these 4 documents? So I send them those 4 documents. And I say, now we're good, right? And they're like, well, but this one's wrong. I'm like, so I'm in that phase. And also, I'm very stressed about selling the 2 properties I have. If anyone wants homestead properties, get in touch with me. Mike says the beauty of the bash is we don't need Dice Tower Library. There's so many of us there with our own libraries that bring in games to play with our friends. And that is 100% accurate. Restoration Games has a great logo, yes. Have you heard of the upcoming video game Thunderfolk? Nope. Huh, I would play it, though. I wonder when that's coming out. I'll look it up later. Title Blade 2, do you prefer to play with the base game standees or play with all the minis? It doesn't matter to me. Like, when we played, I have the minis, so I'm like, well, if we have the minis, we might as well play with them. But that's because I had them. If I didn't have them, I was going to go buy it. I might just buy standees at this point in time, just for space purposes. Maybe do a live bracket with best publisher logos and worst publisher logos. I don't think I would do worst publisher logos, but I might do best ones. Is our building a standalone, or do you share space with other companies? There's 3 spaces in our building. So there's 2 other, well, one's a company and one is not. But there's no connection between them. They all connect to the outside. We share the same parking lot. If you're looking for new stuff for the office, you can set up an Amazon gift list and other people can purchase them for you. I'd be happy to contribute. Yeah, I guess I could have done that. Most of the stuff for the office has been bought. There's very few. I mean, we're going to need some big things like new cameras, new wires and stuff. But if you would want to support that, I'm just asking that you support the Dice Tower through Patreon or you know, things like that, because we'll pick which things we're going to get that way. Next Dice Tower fundraiser, will you add a tier or add-on for people to come to the new studio and have lunch, hang out or something? Possibly. I will consider that for sure. How does Jimmy rank Minecraft against Super Mario Brothers? I actually asked him that question, and he was like, I don't know. I think he likes Super Mario a little better. Although it was funny. I think I mentioned this in a Q&A just recently, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but like 2 months ago, he came up. He's like, you know, I like Mario, but not all Mario. And in the conversation, he's like, he likes Super Mario. He likes Super Mario a lot. But not everything I buy him has to be Mario. He doesn't need Mario everything. And that's interesting because there is an age for kids when they do want everything to be themed. And he was like, not anymore. You know, it's good. I'm glad he told me that because I would have kept buying the Mario stuff. Hope people didn't throw popcorn and disrupt the movie. I don't think popcorn was thrown. I didn't see any, but definitely people were very loud. But I didn't mind because they were cheering for the movie. Does the Easter Bunny still visit your house for the kids? I don't think it ever has. Are you visiting UK Games Expo 2025? I can clarify very strongly that we will not this year. Are you still playing Hearthstone? No, you know, I stopped playing it a bit ago, and I just haven't got back into it. Do you have plans for hosting a Los Angeles event? No. Why would I? I really feel like getting like a sign up that says Dice Tower West, Dice Tower East, Dice Tower Cruise. Those are our conventions. No more are coming, ever. Now, that may not be true. I never say never, right? But where we are at this point in time, there is not even a kernel of an idea for another event anywhere else. These 3 take up so much of my time. You want me to start a convention somewhere else? Then you come to Dice Tower East. Make Dice Tower East fill out super fast, and then I'll consider doing one somewhere else. Do you prefer to pack or unpack? Unpack. Oh, I love setting up a new place. Very much. Although I do like throwing things away. As not everyone who knows me does. I recently sold some games, says Chad. Thank you for suggesting pricing them to sell. Low price, they move fast, and I don't miss them. That really is how it is. That's how my yard sale is going to be tomorrow. I'm pricing everything to sell, because anything I don't sell, I'm going to throw away, probably. Has your phone stopped ringing from random people yet? It's less. And in fact, I have the ringer on right now. Carpet installation tomorrow. All right. That is great. All right. Good. That's a big deal. Okay. Sorry. I need to keep checking my phone all the time because important messages are coming through. Not as many are calling me, though. It's getting very tiring, though. So, because I have to, normally I just let phone, you know, if I don't know who it is, I just let it go through voicemail. But I'm answering everything in case it's important. Any thoughts on how to help more board game manufacturers start up in the USA? I don't know that you or I have that power. I don't even know as a group we have that power. To start a board game manufacturer, you start one, I guess, but it would take a long time for you to get it up and running, to get the machinery, which incidentally comes from China. I think it would be really tough to do. So I don't have any thoughts on that because I don't know a ton about board game manufacturing to begin with. Just watch your Slay to Spire review. Who's your favorite character? Slay to Spire characters. And I'm looking this up because I can never remember their names. So I'm only looking it up because I can't remember the names. Ironclad, Silent, list of where are they? Ironclad, Watcher, Defect, Silent. Ah, that's right. Sorry, I just forget what they're called. I'm like the warrior, the poisoner, the juggler, and the guy who changes stances. This Defect, by a mile, is my favorite. Although, if they let me, and well, they can let you when I'm playing as and that's the same for board game and the video game. For video game, I often play for fun. I'll do a scenario where I play with Defect and Ironclad cards. I think it's a really fun combo. Will the board game Deep Regrets be at Dice Tower East? Yes, it's already in the library. Are you getting any extra bedrooms in a new place? Yes. Any of the kids getting their own room for the first time? No. I was told we're getting an extra bedroom for guests. And by guests, I mean my many children coming back to visit me. So that is what's happening. Has the laptop recovered from your spill? Yes. I think the new Apple laptops are pretty resistant to that to some degree, or at least it didn't affect me too much. But how many games do you still own that you brought back from when you lived in Korea? That's a great question. I don't know, but probably, well, I would say it's got to be less than 300. And I know this because at one point I took my library down to 300 games. When it was my personal library, I was like, there's no reason for me to keep more than 300. I think 350 was my limit. No more than 350 games. I'm not going to, if I get a new game, one goes out. That was my rule until I got the Dice Tower library. Then we expanded to 2,200. And I don't really have a personal, we have some games here at home, but they're party games or some other games. My kids know if they really want to play a game, it's in the Dice Tower library. So 350 games, and then I went to the library, but I bet you I don't have all those games anymore, so 300 or less. Probably somewhere between 200 to 300. Because most of those games that I did bring back from Korea and then kept in that core group of 300, I probably thought they were good enough to keep, period. Some podcasters have their own coffee lines to generate revenue. I would love a Dice Tower coffee line. Maybe. The problem is we're not big enough of a podcast to have all these extra revenue lines. We already have, thank you, Alexa, we already have several ways to support the Dice Tower. We have Dice Tower Store. We have Dice Tower Store where you can buy merch for us. We have our Patreon. We have, we can go and do the Game Found pledge and do things like that. So I don't want there to be too much of that stuff out there because it just waters down everything. Does the chief accept a companion like Doctor Who has a companion? I volunteer. I'm street smart, funny, and I do well under pressure. Oh, yes, the chief almost always has one or two companions with him, but they never select themselves. They are always selected, and it's usually through a very traumatic event. Love your channel. Most of the top 10s and 100s, and the collab with the flip side. All right. Thank you, Ronald. I don't think anything matched the energy of Captain America getting the hammer or the Avengers Assemble scene in Endgame. No. But I don't think anything will ever match that in our life. I'm serious. I think that, for me, that was peak cinema. And yes, I know the people who love classic cinema look down on me and think I'm snobby for liking Avengers Endgame. But Avengers Endgame was the best movie experience I ever had. And I'm not even sure it was a close second. Return of the King was pretty amazing. Return of the King was pretty good. Like as an experience in a theater. And the first Avengers. Also that, when you just saw them and you're like, oh, they're together now. But man, Avengers Endgame, seeing that opening night, we left the theater and I told my kids, I never have to see another movie again. And I'm actually glad that I think that way because As we all know, the Marvel movies aren't as hot anymore and stuff. Maybe the Spider-Man No Way Home was pretty solid. That might be number 3 on my list of movie experiences. And I did not see the Star Wars movies in the theater, so I cannot speak to that. I was too young for the first 2, really. And the third one, Return of the Jedi, I knew about it, but I never saw it in the theater. Have I been telling people I've been moving to the West Coast? I often say that here in Florida because we call Fort Myers the West Coast of Florida. I'll try to be clear with that. What do you do other than board game? Nothing. Board game only. No, I have a life. I was just playing Elden Ring before I did this, just to kind of clear my mind. But now I'm getting ready for a garage sale. I also eat. Some of you are like, no kidding. We can see. After watching Mike's review of Come Sail Away, I ordered it directly from Sashi and Sashi. They emailed me suggesting it be cheaper to order direct from Asmodee as it will be released this month. Well, that was very nice of them to do that. Very impressed with the vendor lineup for Dice Tour East. Will there be any additional vendors announced? If we get more, we'll announce them as they come, for sure. Will the relocation with the Big Game Bash be fully rebranded to be an official Dice Tour event? Nope, because I want to attend an event and not run one. So I just show up. Do you have time to watch a Daredevil show? I've not watched it, so I don't have any thoughts on it. Is there a preference between joining the channel on YouTube versus Patreon? No. Pick the one that you like better. What would be your advice for people who don't have too many friends to get together and play games together, but in terms of neighborhood kind of way? I would look in your area for people to do that. Go to any open gaming event, meet up. Sometimes a good way to meet people. If you meet people at a con, sometimes you find out you're in the same city as you or whatever. Host them at your house if you feel comfortable doing that. And see what happens. I'll always find a game group. A week ago, I was going to purchase Wondrous Creatures secondhand for a pretty big price, but then I remembered Tom's Law, and it's back in stock. I do suspect that the secondhand market prices are going to skyrocket for a while because people are going to be buying a lot of secondhand stuff, so keep that in mind. Do I know the first board game that used the edge of the board for tracking victory points? I do not know. I know El Grande, 1995, is one of the first. Primordial Soup had that. That's 1997, so El Grande would still beat that at 1995. Those were some of the first to do it. Obviously, there's probably more that have done it, but El Grande was the first one I know that one. Maybe someone in chat can tell me an earlier one. What was the last game one of your kids say, Dad, can we play? I think Jimmy wanted to play Weapons and Warriors or something like that. Any hype for the Switch 2? Sort of. I mean, me and the kids watching and all, and I want to get one. I was going to pre-order one, but frankly, I just didn't because we're going to be moving and expenses and things like that. And so anything like that's kind of on hold for now. Has he played more games by Bruno Catala or Mike played more games by Dr. Rainer Knizia? Mike for sure, because Dr. Knizia has more games. So that's all. Endgame is better than I Am Your Father. Probably, but I wasn't there for I Am Your Father, so that wasn't the thing. And that was more of a, even if I had been there, that's like, oh, but Endgame had multiple moments. I gasped so many times in Endgame. I gasped at the beginning when it said 5 years later. That blew my mind. I gasped when they went back in time. I gasped at the S.H.I.E.L.D. thing for sure, and Avengers Assemble for sure. There were many moments in there, and I was like, oh. So, but it wasn't just me. It was a whole theater. Blake says I was kind of bored, and that's fine. Everyone likes different movies. But for me, it was the best movie experience I've ever had. Hey, Tom, did you guys back DC Superhero United? I don't remember if I backed it or not. Do you feel C-Mount will be okay and we'll get our pledges? We can hope. They said we're going to get them. I'm not going to make any speculation on that because I do not know. I have hope and faith in them. More asking about the Switch. I will say Mario Kart does look amazing. It looks really fantastic. Prices for games are ridiculous, though? No. See, on this one, I'm going to call you out on this and say you are wrong. I am positively aghast when people somehow think that these people who put in years and years and tons of money programming, and then they say a game, I don't know, what is it, $70, $80, and people are like, that's too much money. Like, are you kidding? You spend that much to go out to eat. Just the same, I feel this about board games. With a video game, a good video game is easily worth $100. Straight up. Like we have, I played Elden Ring now for what, 200 hours or whatever. For me, if that game cost $200, it would have been worth it. Good games are worth money. They really are. And apps have kind of ruined this because people look at apps and they're like, well, I'm not buying an app that costs more than $20. And so apps have cheated because most of them have microtransactions, which make them cost way more than a video game does. I'm sorry. I'm not saying, again, I got to be careful. I just said I'm not buying a Switch and I'm trying to save some money there, but I don't think it's overpriced. I really don't. I mean, also when you include inflation and all that stuff, I mean, these games cost $60 when I was a kid. I'm just kind of mind-boggled at this one. I very much disagree with this. I do not think the prices are ridiculous. Also, if you wait, most games go down in price dramatically. Do you prefer to play with folks willing to try any game or with strong taste that sometimes pulls out gems that you've never expected? I don't understand the second half. I prefer to play games with folks willing to try any game. Any idea when the reprint for Detective Club is happening? I do not. Well done, new studio. Given that as a commercial space, will anybody in the Dice Tower actually be living there? No, because it's a commercial space. You answered your own question. Is the rest of the crew going to do the top 100 after studios are done? Perhaps, again, like I said, it's really hard for us to kind of look past this, the move. When we get there, we'll see. You wouldn't have a Steam Deck, would you? But I am thinking about selling it because I do not play it very often. Any initial thoughts on Vantage? I only saw a very brief glimpse of it, so I don't know more about it from Stonemeyer Games. What game in the Hot Games Room at Dice Tower East are you most excited for? I don't have very many games for Hot Game Rooms. I just have a couple for now. I haven't picked them out yet. I won't pick them out till end of May, beginning of June. Random top three. Top three reptiles? I'm not a big reptilian fan. So I put turtle in the top three, but then what kind of turtle? A nice turtle. I don't particularly love snakes. I think they look cool, but I don't want them anywhere near me. Lizards are fine. I mean, we see lizards everywhere here. Geckos are cool, I suppose. I don't know. I'd have to think a long time about a top three reptiles. By the way, people jumping in and asking me about tariffs. I already briefly discussed that at the beginning of the episode. I'm not going to keep talking about it. Mike Delisio remembers Atari cartridges going for $50 back in the day. Yeah, I'm telling you, I think apps on phones and things has really ruined people's perception of pricing for video games. That video games, the games that we could play now, how much would we have paid for them as a kid? It blows my mind. We played $50 for a type game. Let's see here. Some friends are recently opened a board game cafe and are looking for ideas on types of event they can host. I would consider hosting like a pub type quiz thing or a wits and wagers game, something that gets people involved and together. Or maybe like, come learn these games day and then teach the whole room how to play this game and then try to sell that copy of the game or something like that. I agree to some sort, but more that the digital Mario Kart is 80 and the physical is 90. Yeah, but see, this is something that people are going to argue over. I don't have a problem with digital goods. Some people are like, oh, but I need to own it physically. I don't. But how do you pass it on to your kids? Most kids don't want stuff, so I don't know. I just don't have a problem with that. Digital to me is easier to maintain than physical. So anyhow, You did your top 10 escape room games. That's true. I think it went up today. Have you not played Mother of Frankenstein? I did not play it, so I don't know. That one I can't qualify. I've not played all the escape room games. There's just too many of them. Is there any chance you would review or live play a game on a Taboo system? We don't have a Taboo system, so I cannot help you there. My apologies. I'm thinking of buying a Steam Deck. That's why I asked. Not really worth it for you? It's not that it's not worth it for me. I think it works really well. It doesn't play some of the games that I wanted. Like, I was like, ooh, I'll play Civilization on it. And then I was like, oh, Civilization doesn't work really well on this tiny screen without a mouse. So there's a little bit of that, right? But the game I played the most on it was Hades. I played Hades over and over and over again. I guess they're coming out with Hades 2, so that's interesting. But I just don't play as many video games as y'all might think. I don't. And so usually I play video games number one on my iPad, which a lot of times is board games or board game video games or some mixture of that, or on my PS5. And I just don't have a ton of time to do many other ones other than that. Battle Line or Shot and Totten are the same game. I'm watching this Q&A on my Steam Deck now. It's basically just my YouTube device. Oh, that's cool. Easter plans? Well, we are going to church. I'm helping make if you want to come by and you're in an area, First Baptist Church at Cutler Ridge. I'm making a big breakfast there, lots of bacon and sausage and things. We'll have our worship service in the morning, and then I'm going out to eat with the extended family because it's our kind of a goodbye dinner. Although we're only going to be 2.5 hours away, so we'll still see our family here. Is board game hobby on the decline? I don't think the hobby's on the decline. The business is going to certainly take a hit, but we'll see from there. Favorite sounding languages? But I don't know. I always think French sounds cool. Steam probably is undermining pricing more, especially with sales. That's true. Yeah, I'll agree. Because Steam will have these, cheap games that go up all the time. Yeah, that's true. But see, I feel the same way about this as I feel about board games. When people go, oh, well, who would ever pay $100 for a board game? I would if I knew for sure it was a really good game. I'll do the same thing. I know this because this is what I do with video games. When a video game comes out, I might see one for $5 and I'll buy it. But I very rarely do that because they're usually not that good. I look and I read review after review after review of a game. If I'm going to pay $60, $70 on a video game, I want to make sure it's a really good one. And then I get it and I'll play hundreds of hours. I'm like, wow, I got a really good deal there. I'd rather pay more money and get a better game than buy a whole bunch of cheap games and hope they're good. What are some things large and small that you told yourself, if I could redo this, I would, that the move is allowing you to revisit? Well, we have a nicer play area, for sure. I don't know. I'm arranging all the shelves as to where I would like them a lot, so I'm enjoying that much. Are you covering the studio windows with Dice Tower decals for privacy, or are you keeping a nice view? Haha, they're window clings, so in the inside we can still see out, so it works fantastically. The sun hitting those windows is brutal and could fade the library. Maybe, but I don't think it's going to come in far enough to affect the library too much. Would I like to jump on BGA right now and play Can't Stop With Me? No, but you will be seeing the Dice Tower playing on BGA. We've made a deal with BGA. We're going to be playing some of their games live. That's going to start in May, I think, or June, one of those 2 months. And you'll see more of that. So maybe we will play on BGA. Do people visit Dice Tower to say hi? It's possible, but I would please ask you, if you're considering this, to please email me ahead of time because I want to make sure that you come by. Because we are working. If your workplace had people popping in all the time to say hi, it would disrupt flows of things, and we don't necessarily want that. Who on the team has the weirdest takes on board games? I don't know, we all have our little spins on things that we like, and we all make fun of each other. Oh, you like this because of that designer, because of that company, because I can't believe you like this. There are games I like where the staff is like, how do you like this game so much? You know, there are things like that. Some people have a lower tolerance for liking games than others, and some people have a higher tolerance, but everyone is different. So I don't know anyone has the weirdest take. If board game releases slow down, are you looking forward to revisiting older titles and spend more time on the ones that are recently released? Perhaps, but I don't know that we will even have that option because we are already not covering all the new games as is. If all the new games coming out right now got cut in half, we still wouldn't be able to cover them all. If you could play a board game again for the first time, oh man, I would love to play Dominion again for the first time. Did I hear you're making a Dice Tower version of a board game tutorial channel? No, we're having a Dice Tower, a new series on how to play games that we'll be posting usually once a week on the Dice Tower of how to play a game. So hopefully that will be helpful to people. It's not going to be, you know, every game in existence because it's not possible, but I hope people enjoy them. I think you pointed the problem with the price of video games. I think for many people, the price itself is not the problem. It's paying without having played and risking wasting money. But why? You can watch videos of the game being played on. You could read tons of reviews. Sometimes even have a chance to play a demo of it. That's not as popular anymore. Sometimes I play it. I'm like, ooh, this is not a game for me. But Elden Ring was in the Dark Souls series, and so I wasn't not interested at all. But I kept seeing people talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. I was like, fine, I'll try it out. Do you have a time frame when videos from the new HQ will start to release? I do not. BGA will kill your mood to play tabletop games. Do be aware. Do you think so? Because I'm willing to take you up on that bet. I'll bet you $1 million that won't happen. And I know this because there are amazing adaptations of board games on iOS. And I have an iPad and I play those. And I think it's great that you can play on BGA. But I love sitting around a table playing a game with people. BGA will never replicate that experience. It might stop me from playing some games in person, possibly. But there's no way it's going to kill my mood to play tabletop games. Maybe that happened to you, and that's fine. But that will not happen to me. I cannot imagine that even remotely happening. Tom, is Gen Con mostly business for you? Yes. Can we get a crowd-voted video ranking the funniest overpowered card art? Oh, there's some really terrible overpowered card art. There's some just embarrassing overpowered art, unfortunately. But, oh wow, I've gone over time. I did not notice. Well, I was having a good time. It's been a bit since I've done these. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate that. I don't know when you will see me next. Like I said, if I can get permission from Days of Wonder, I might make a little video about the new Star Wars Hoth game memoir thing from Days of Wonder. And you might see some of the team. As time goes by, obviously Mike DeLisio is doing a fantastic job up in the Midwest Annex. So he's running videos from up there. And we have videos that were already pre-recorded and things that are going up at least to the end of this week. And there's some scheduled for next week. As I look here at our upcoming videos, there are some videos scheduled. This one's scheduled for April 30th. But we got more top 10s. We got some reviews here. Yeah, so I see plenty of videos coming up. There's obviously not as many in our live videos, but now that I know the carpet's coming tomorrow morning, we can start rebuilding the studios. We're going to be rebuilding 2 of our normal studios first. In fact, you might not even notice how different they might look. Very similar, actually. The top 10 studio, which is where we do the reviews of many of our games too, and all of our live shows, and also the studio, we call it the Beach Studio, because we can do a lot of games in there. The studio that's going to take a little bit longer is going to be our live play studio, because we're going to be rebuilding that from the ground up in many ways. So that one will take a bit more. But since the Summer Spectacular is the first week of June, we got to be ready by then. But we'll hurry as quickly as we can, but not too fast, because we want to make sure we're doing it right also. So that's what's coming up here in the future. Yeah, so I appreciate this. Look, folks, from a user endpoint, things don't always look good with the tariffs and all that stuff. And like I said, be mindful, people in the industry. If you have extra money, support them. Buy some of their games. Some companies are having sales and stuff to raise money for that. But also, enjoy gaming still. No matter what happens, all the games you have are not going to disappear, and you can still play them. So keep that in mind. Alrighty, well, I'll see you guys when I see you. If you're in Mexico, I'll see you at a convention next week. But until then, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching live Q&A here on the Dice Tower. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.